we just welcome you today to this evening. I have asked Nick and his girlfriend Hannah to come back one more time. We've had Nick as an interviewer for 3 times, and it's been a long journey, all crammed into the past couple years. But Nick's had a new transition, and that is that he's actually left Augusta Bellingham and has started his own business. And this past weekend, we had our training for all the franchisees in Blaine. And this is the first time you've met Hannah. And so I want you to get to know her a little bit and to be able to hear their journey together, all the feelings and emotions and the things that bring people to a time like this. Because I know so many of you are experiencing the same thing and have the same reservations about starting your own business as well as starting a franchise. So I'll just start with you, Hannah. You've been with Nick for quite a while, right? A few years?
Yes, a few years.
And Nick is not living in a van anymore. Tell me about that.
Yes, we're very happy that he's not living in a van anymore. So we finally retired the van, and so now we are both moving into Arlington. So we've been here for about a month or so, right?
hmm
Yeah, so it's been pretty nice. I think it's been really good for him too to have somewhere to shower all the time and able to make him food, and he's not just relying on the weekend to shower and do laundry. So.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Hannah, I know a lot of times it's difficult for the person who loves someone who has made such dramatic changes. And sometimes when people change that much the way Nick has in the last couple years, sometimes the person with them can't maneuver really with this new person, and it doesn't always work because Nick is entrepreneurial now, and he's really driven and focused. And so when he first started talking about owning his own business and a franchise, could you just share those initial feelings and things you felt?
Yeah, definitely at first I was a little apprehensive because I was like, do you really know what you're getting yourself into? And I had a lot of questions and I felt bad at first because I was kind of grilling him and he didn't really know the answers, which I mean, I now know that's okay because we just learned a lot of those answers this last weekend. But I think that that's a given for anyone. You want to make sure that that person's making a great decision for themselves and that it's not going to affect you too. And obviously, this is going to be a hard journey, but
Right.
now I know that we have the systems in place and there's that support system. But at first, I wasn't aware of any of that, so I was definitely a little concerned. But the more he talked to me about it, and the more it wasn't just a one thought thing. It kept on coming up and coming up. So I got a little bit more used to it, and he had me listen to some of Mike's YouTube videos and podcasts, and I finally got to kind of see what his intent was about, and it kind of aligned with what Nick was saying. So I definitely felt more confident and comfortable about it.
hmm And Nick, as you were making this transition, this happens for so many people. You had shared, I tell my mom and I tell my girlfriend about it, and they ask me a lot of questions because they care, because they want to know, but I don't have all the answers. I'm just starting, right? And so, how have you guys worked through that, Nick? All these transitions together to kind of be a unit.
Um, well, it was difficult, I guess, because like I know like the people of Augusta and like what we stand for, and like I've been sold on it since day one, and trying to explain like how different it is to someone that doesn't necessarily have the same perspective.
Right.
It makes sense why Hannah greeted it with a lot of apprehension at first. Um, but my quick answer to anybody that has those questions or that's in a similar position that we're in, is to just redirect them towards Mike's podcast. Um, you get a really good judge of character based off of those, and he also shares a lot of knowledge. And yeah, you can tell he's devoted to providing for other people, and it's not like a percentage royalty. He's not trying to get money from people. Like that's not what it's about.
hmm And so, Hannah, once you started to listen, were you like, oh my goodness, this guy's so young. How could he really know? Is he a fraud? But as you listened, did you start to realize that he has wisdom and experience beyond his years?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Nick told me he went to college when he was what, 13. I was like, oh my goodness. So I was a little shocked, but yeah, definitely when I started listening, and it was just really cool to see kind of all his, hidden secrets to business that he was sharing with other people. That's not something you see every day. So that definitely was a true, told his character was pretty good. And his intention was correct. So I thought that that was really cool. And yeah, it just seemed like he was really well diverse in all of the different subject areas of the business, and he just really wanted what was best for people too. So yeah, it definitely did change my mind. And his entire attitude too was really great. That was the one thing that I really kind of liked. It's always pretty upbeat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And this past weekend was the first time you actually met us after all you had heard from Nick and about the business and everything. So, how did Nick talk you into coming? I was just thrilled when you I were there.
well, one is we had talked about it prior, and he was like, "You just need to come with me because I don't have to re-explain all these answers to you and everything like that." So that was one reason, and then the second reason too was just because I know that I'm going to be here with a journey throughout him. That if he had any questions, I wanted to have some kind of background with it, just because I know if someone's frustrated with something and it's not working. The last thing you want to hear is someone asking you more questions. So just being able to kind of have that background to help him, and even though I'm not going to be doing it daily, so I might not be well equipped with it at first, just having that in my background and my prior knowledge can definitely help him a little bit more quickly.
Right. You're going to school to be a teacher, correct?
Yes.
And are you going to be close to him? Is the place where you're going to be teaching in the same area where Nick's going to have his franchise?
Yeah, so I was actually able to change my placement up to here. So I'll be doing my placement maybe about 15 minutes away. So yeah, really
Wow.
stoked about it. Yeah, so we're able to actually stay with each other and not do the long distance thing. So, and
So
I'll be both really big parts of our next chapter of our life that's coming up. So I'm
right.
really glad that we both have each other as support systems.
Yeah. Okay, so the training. So first you, Nick, when you came to training, were you nervous or excited, or how did you feel coming in as a completely different person, really, to start this with us last weekend?
More excited than anything. Um, it sounds a little backwards, but I describe the experience as feeling a lot less overwhelmed after training than I was going into it.
Yes.
Because like it was 24 hours around there, and it's just like nonstop information. But it was so engaging because this is all the stuff that I have not known for the last year, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to commit to doing this business thing. Like I've been learning about business through podcasts, but no, I haven't worked with anything concrete. And yeah, when he was diving into all that stuff, like I've never been that like captivated by something for 3 days straight. So I feel a lot less overwhelmed because now I know this stuff. Like
Yeah.
at least I've seen it once, and that I know what it's gonna look like when I do it, or what it should look like, and I have like something to work off of in my mind. Whereas before, it's like I've just heard bits and pieces of all the back end work that happens at Augusta to actually make things happen, but I had never seen it up to this point. So excited going into it, and a bit less overwhelmed, but now more overwhelmed at the fact that I know all the work that's ahead of me.
Right. Right. But it probably was really reassuring to know that at least you know where to look. Like you can search on service autopilot, you can contact command, you have all of us. Do you feel, let's say you didn't know us before this weekend or had worked with us or knew us personally, after having been to the training, do you feel supported by Augusta?
Absolutely. Yeah. During the training, it's just a really cool feeling because everyone there, like it's like these are all just strangers that you just met, but you have the connection to them
Right.
because they believe in the mission. They believe in what we're trying to do, and they jumped on board for 10 years. Like they decided to make that decision. So sorry, I forget what the initial question was.
So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know us and you know our character because we've worked together every day for a couple years. But for if you were a stranger like them coming in, did you feel really supported, like you're going to be taken care of by Augusta for the 10 years?
Absolutely. Just the 3-day training in itself is enough to prove that, because it's 3 days of Mike's time. He's a very busy person, and it's a very structured, very serious, all the information you need to know. He'll answer any question. There's resources, all the work that's gone into just creating resources for us to refer to when we have questions. Um, Very supported from all angles. You're providing support. Lee will be providing some support. So is Mike and all the other franchisees that have been in business for the last year. And it'll just keep compounding. And then eventually it's just going to be a massive network of people all trying to achieve the same goal that are all supporting each other.
Did you notice a certain like kind of a line that went through of the quality of people that were there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was part of what I was saying. Like when you feel connected to these
Yeah,
people, I like it was this weird feeling, but I was like, these are my people. Like it's just the simple fact that like they get the mission
yeah.
and they see the value behind what Mike's doing with the Augusta franchise. Um, yeah, just high quality people, all just trying to do good. So
That's super cool. So, Hannah, when you came, did you think it was going to be like university and you were going to be dying of boredom? I know we put you by the door so you could go shopping or leave.
Yeah, I didn't really know exactly what to expect, but I was pretty surprised that it was pretty engaging. And all the material was set up too so that it was easily comprehensible. And even if we did have questions, Michael was very good about going through things pretty slowly. And even things like the automations, where
Mhm.
those are all in place there for us, but for he took the time to talk through each one of those so we know the background of it, why they're set up how they are. So yeah, it was super engaging. It wasn't like, I feel like a lot of times university, it's a lot of repeating the same things, but there was a lot of new information, engaging, and it was really nice to see how things flowed too. So we got to see how estimates were set up from start to beginning. Exactly, we even did an example phone call, so that was really, really helpful just to see the big picture.
Mhm. That's
one thing I want to add to that really quick too is the group size of the training. I think we had like 15 people in the entire room, including you and
right.
Mike and everyone else. And it was it created this environment of like an open discussion.
Hmm.
So instead of a large room filled with people trying to take down notes, it was an open conversation. So the minute someone had a question and other people were probably thinking the same question but maybe didn't want to say it out loud, that person speaks up, and then everyone's just it's just full circle. Like everyone's just listening and contributing all at the same
Right.
time.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that the questions were really high quality too. They were really good questions, and they were all questions that we all would have had. So it was like they were asking for everyone else.
Absolutely.
So now in the next couple months, you're going to be, setting up your well, your service autopilot is already set up for you, but just getting familiar with all of it. And I already had somebody call me today in your area and ask for your information because they wanted to contact you to do them. So it has begun. So that's pretty exciting. So I really appreciate you two taking the time to share. I know that this is where a lot of other young people are. All the times I've shared that young people, this is something they could do. And they have to do what you've done though and come to like a certain place in themselves to be able to take on this kind of responsibility. And just like I asked Hannah the other day, are you ready for this adulting? And she's like, nope. Life hits you, and you guys have been through some tough stuff and tough stuff together, and I think you have what it takes for sure. And so going forward, we're really happy to have you in the area and know that Augusta is here to support you. But others, I would say, in your place, Nick, that are just kind of wavering on whether they should make a commitment like that, young guys that think, hey, do I really have it in me? They're exactly the same as you expressed that you have the work nailed down. Like you're great with the customers, all the services that we do, and you're really good at them. But the business side, to be a little bit afraid to put their trust in does it help you to know that there's so many resources there that if you just come, like you're going to get what you need? What would you say to them?
That's the only reason that I decided to join the franchise is because of all the support on the back end. I could have listened to business podcasts
Hmm.
for years, and I don't believe that I would make it to the point where I feel comfortable making serious decisions all the time with that knowledge. So like Mike devotes all of his time to this, and it wouldn't make sense for me not to take advantage of that, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So it what I would suggest to other people that are in the same position is to try and be humble and possess humility in the fact that you may have been doing lawn care for a while or landscaping, or you may be really good at what you do, but you need to set that aside and realize that if you are going to go start your own business and manage people and do all these other things that you were not doing at your job, it really is a good idea to have a support network in place because I couldn't imagine doing it by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So one last thing I think it would be super cool for you to share is right before we started the other day, we had Upflip show up and they had actually reached out to Mike and asked if they could follow your journey. And so tell us a little bit about that contact with them and what you shared that morning.
yeah, so Upflip, it's a YouTube channel that basically highlights small businesses and shows more of the inner workings of the business, just to share to other people that might be in a similar position. Um, And so, yeah, that morning, what our plan is for the long term is to follow my journey throughout the course of the first year, and be able to see the highs and the lows. We'll do like a check in every 2 weeks or however it ends up working out. But just to really show the journey for all that it is, instead of just the good stuff that people like to broadcast for
Right.
other people to see.
Yeah.
Just the real aspect of it, and there will be a lot of struggle. But the whole purpose behind doing it is to help people and show them that not everyone has it right from the start. Not everyone has it nailed down. Like it's a constant learning process, and everyone's the same. Everyone's going to go through that. Um, but yeah, on that day, we kind of filmed a little bit of an intro. There's probably going to be more that goes into the first video, but just talking about the numbers, the budget that I'm going to work with, and kind of just the broad plan of like how I'm going to start things off.
Very cool. Very cool. So I appreciate your time tonight. And I'm so glad, Hannah, that you're on board with Nick and that you guys are good with this together. And we look forward to actually updating again ourselves. We'll put a link here for them to check your journey on Upflip. But everyone listening, it would be really awesome if you listen to the first two interviews with Nick and see how far he's come and how super cool this is. And if you just click on the links below if you want to know about becoming a franchisee or have a call with Mike to see if you're a good fit for Augusta. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Liz.
Bye.
Bye.